The massive space station Nexus Prime floated in the silent void between star systems, a fortress of diplomacy built to host the galaxy's most powerful species. Today, however, its gleaming corridors pulsed with the glow of red emergency lights. Something monumental was about to unfold. Within the grand meeting hall, 12 alien delegations sat around a vast circular table, their appearances as varied as the stars themselves. The towering, four-armed Zephyrians radiated authority, while the crystalline collective shimmered like living diamonds. The insectoid biohive consortium twitched restlessly, and the ethereal beings of pure energy flickered with agitation. Even the mechanical representatives of the hegemony hummed with cold logic. For the first time in centuries, all voices were united in outrage at humanity. Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrians struck the table with one massive hand, his deep voice shaking the chamber. The humans are out of control. They spread without permission, build without oversight, and now even claim the neutral zone as their own. Crystalline Chancellor Mordeth chimed in agreement, his body ringing like breaking glass. In a single century, they have expanded into more than 50 star systems. Their growth is reckless, dangerous. The others added their grievances in turn. Queen Vexthera of the Biohive hissed with 1,000 voices about trade routes disrupted by human colonies. The Aquarian delegates laughed bitterly about humanity's so-called courtesy notifications, announcements sent after settlements had already been built. Even the mechanical hegemony noted how human communications had grown increasingly blunt, their confidence no longer disguised by politeness. The council's patience was at an end. Holograms flickered above the table, displaying images of human warships, sleek vessels bristling with weapons that could pierce alien shields like paper. In just 50 years, humans had leapt from primitive rockets to faster-than-light fleets. Their technology was unpredictable, illogical, advancing in bursts of brilliance that made them impossible to calculate. One delegate described them as paradoxes, still using wheels on their planets even as they fielded weapons that defied physics. At last, the Council reached a decision. Humanity would be offered one final chance: integration into the Galactic Council under strict oversight. Their expansion would be limited, their technology monitored, and their colonies forced to pay reparations. In exchange, they would be granted provisional membership, a gift most species waited centuries to earn. If they refuse, one delegate asked in hushed tones. The answer was unanimous. Then the final protocol would be enacted. All member fleets, millions of ships strong, would descend upon human space, annihilating half their colonies and crushing their leadership until they submitted. No species had ever resisted this choice. None had ever dared. But humanity was different. The Council decided the ultimatum would be delivered by summoning Earth's ambassador, Elena Vasquez. She arrived at Nexus Prime with quiet confidence, stepping off her transport into the docking bay that reeked of power and wealth. Unlike other species who traveled with entourages, she brought only 2 guards and a single aide. To her, simplicity was strength. Walking the endless corridors, Elena already knew the truth. This was not an invitation. It was a threat. Yet her orders from Earth were clear. You speak for humanity. Make us proud. The massive chamber doors opened, and she entered the council hall. 12 alien powers loomed above her, their chamber designed to dwarf and intimidate all who stood in its center. Admiral Kethvar rose first, his 4 arms spread wide in a gesture of alien welcome. Ambassador Vasquez, welcome to Nexus Prime. We are honored by your presence. Elena's voice was calm, almost serene. Thank you for the invitation. I am here to listen. The crystalline chancellor activated a hologram that filled the air with images of fleets, armies, and the vast order of the Galactic Council. "Understand this moment," he intoned. "The Council represents over 2,000 intelligent species and 50,000 star systems. Our fleets exceed 1,000,000 warships. Our authority has preserved peace for 800 years. None who opposed us survived." Elena nodded politely, her expression unreadable. "Impressive numbers," she said softly. What none of them realized was that humanity had been waiting for this moment. For decades they had prepared for the inevitable confrontation. The Council thought they were delivering an ultimatum. Instead, they were about to trigger the greatest mistake in galactic history. The emergency lights of Nexus Prime continued to flash, almost as though the station itself was warning the galaxy of the storm to come. The chamber fell silent as the last of the Council's threats echoed into stillness. Every alien delegate watched Elena Vasquez with an air of smug certainty. For thousands of years, every species confronted with the Council's ultimatum had chosen integration over annihilation. Why would the humans be any different? Elena let the silence stretch. She stood calmly in the center of the vast hall, her hands clasped loosely in front of her, her posture controlled yet commanding. At last she spoke, her voice cutting through the air with steady resolve. "I understand your proposal. You offer us limited freedom, restricted expansion, oversight of our technology, reparations for daring to settle what you call neutral territory. In return, we are granted the privilege of sitting quietly at your table, voiceless and watched like children. And if we refuse, you intend to unleash your fleets, burn our colonies, and enslave our people until we submit." The crystalline chancellor's body chimed like an orchestra in approval. "Precisely. You comprehend the situation clearly, Ambassador. That shows wisdom. Choose integration, and humanity will prosper under our guidance." Elena's lips curved, not quite a smile, but something colder. "You mistake patience for weakness, Chancellor. You see our rapid growth as recklessness. You see our unpredictability as primitive. But what you truly fear is what you cannot control. Humanity does not beg. Humanity does not bow. We build because it is in our nature. We expand because survival demands it. And when threatened—" She paused, her eyes sweeping the chamber, meeting the gaze, or the equivalent, of each alien leader in turn. "We fight." A ripple of unease moved through the Council. The Aquarian delegate bubbled with laughter, though his voice cracked slightly. "Ambassador, surely you understand the scale of what you face. Our fleets could blot out your skies. We have crushed 17 species before you. None resisted. None survived." Elena's gaze hardened, her calm composure now sharpened with steel. "And that is your fatal error. You assume we are like those 17 species. You believe we fear extinction more than we value freedom. But you forget what humanity is." She activated her wrist device. In an instant, the chamber's holographic displays flickered, overridden by human data streams. Images appeared of vast shipyards orbiting distant suns, war fleets mobilizing from hidden bases, and soldiers in gleaming armor preparing for war. The scale stunned even the most stoic delegates. For decades, humanity had been preparing for this very moment. While you debated for centuries, we learned in decades. While you enforced treaties, we broke limits. You thought we were children playing with rockets, but every failure was a lesson, every sacrifice an investment. You offered us membership, but you forgot. Humanity does not ask for a seat at the table. Elena's voice dropped into a deadly whisper that carried across the chamber. We build our own table. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. Others flickered with barely contained rage. The council had expected fear, desperation, even bargaining. Instead, humanity had answered with defiance and the terrifying promise of resistance. And then Elena delivered the words that would echo through history. Tell your fleets to come if you wish. But remember this, humanity has never lost a war of survival. Not against empires, not against extinction, not even against ourselves. If you strike us, we will not stop until your council is ash and your empires are dust. We are not asking for peace. We are warning you. Leave humanity alone or face the only war you cannot win. The crystalline chancellor's body rang with outrage. Empty threats, he thundered. You cannot possibly. But even as he spoke, council comms lit up with alarms. Reports flooded in of human fleets mobilizing, colonies bristling with hidden defenses, and weapon systems the council had never seen before. Humanity's threat was already reality. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council knew fear. Chaos erupted in the council chamber. The crystalline chancellor's body chimed furiously, shards of light scattering with every angry vibration. The Aquarian delegate's tank sloshed violently as he sputtered in disbelief. The insectoid biohive clicked and hissed in alarm, their thousand-voiced queen shrieking a chorus of rage and fear. Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrians slammed the table with all four fists, his booming voice cutting through the noise. This is impossible. Their fleets cannot rival ours. This must be deception, a bluff meant to frighten us into hesitation. The mechanical hegemony's representative emitted a harsh burst of static before speaking in cold monotone. Negative. Data verification complete. Human fleets mobilizing across 12 sectors. Weapon signatures do not match known technologies. Probability of bluff less than 2.3%. A stunned silence fell. The numbers didn't lie. Humanity wasn't bluffing. The ethereal being of pure energy flickered dangerously, its voice resonating through every mind in the chamber. How did they do this without detection? Our intelligence networks cover every known system. How could they prepare fleets of this size in secret? Elena stood calmly at the center of the storm, her expression unflinching. You assumed we were predictable. You watched our colonies and laughed at our contradictions. But you never truly understood us. Humans thrive in chaos. We innovate under pressure. While you waited for reports and debates, we acted. Queen Vexthera's insectile mandibles clacked violently. Even so, they cannot stand against us. The final protocol has never failed. One council fleet can devastate their defenses. Together, we will bury them. But the telepathic delegate projected a single thought into the minds of all present, a thought heavy with dread. You do not sense desperation in her mind. You sense certainty. Humanity knows exactly what it is doing. A wave of unease rippled through the chamber. The council had never faced a species that looked extinction in the eye and refused to flinch. Every empire represented in that hall had bent to survival when threatened with annihilation. But humanity promised to drag everyone down with them. Admiral Cathvar leaned forward, his voice strained. "Ambassador Vasquez, you truly mean to defy us? You would risk your species' extinction over pride?" Elena's eyes locked onto his, sharp and unyielding. "You misunderstand. This is not about pride. This is about survival. If you attack us, humanity will fight until the stars burn out. We will not surrender. And if that means dragging your empires into the abyss with us, then so be it. Better ashes than chains." For a long moment, no one moved. The hum of the station's emergency lights filled the silence, pulsing like the heartbeat of a storm about to break. Then, for the first time in living memory, fear spread across the Galactic Council. Not fear of war, but fear of a species that would rather fight to the death than kneel. Humanity had just redrawn the balance of power in the galaxy with words alone. The council chamber had emptied into smaller private halls, but the air still vibrated with tension. The delegates, who moments ago exuded confidence, now spoke in frantic whispers, their voices sharp and panicked. The illusion of unity had shattered. Admiral Cathvar paced restlessly, all four of his arms twitching with restrained fury. "We cannot allow this. If humanity's defiance spreads, other younger species will follow their example. The Council's authority will collapse." Chancellor Mordith's crystalline form pulsed with harsh tones, like grinding stone. "Authority means nothing if they possess weapons beyond our understanding. If their fleets are truly ready, then direct conflict risks devastating losses. Losses our people will not accept." The biohive's queen screeched with a chorus of voices. "Unacceptable! They are insects who refuse their place. The swarm will not tolerate this insult. We must annihilate them before their courage infects others." But the mechanical hegemony spoke again, its voice metallic and absolute. Analysis suggests human psychology differs from all other known species. Threats increase resistance rather than compliance. Historical records, every ultimatum issued by humans in their own wars was backed with action. They will not bluff. The Aquarian delegate's tank rippled as he leaned forward, bubbles breaking the surface. "Then what are you suggesting? That we bow to them? That the Council of 1,000 civilizations bends knee to a species barely a century among the stars?" The telepathic delegate interrupted, its thought echoing through every mind. "You all feel it, though you refuse to admit it. Fear. Not fear of their fleets, not fear of their weapons, but fear of their resolve. Humans are the first species we have met who truly do not fear extinction. That makes them dangerous beyond measure." The crystalline chancellor's body rang with discordant tones of frustration. If war is too costly and submission is unthinkable, then what option remains? Elena Vasquez, who had been silent as the council fractured around her, finally spoke. Her calm words cut through the chaos. "There is only one option. Treat us as equals. Negotiate with us, not over us. Humanity is not asking for permission to exist. We are declaring that we will exist, on our terms." The council erupted again, but the seed had been planted. For the first time in galactic history, the most powerful empires in the universe were forced to consider an unthinkable reality. Humanity was not a problem to be managed. Humanity was a power to be reckoned with. Do you want me to push forward into Part 5, where factions within the Council secretly begin plotting, some for war, some for appeasement, and a few who wonder if humanity might one day lead instead of follow? You said. ChatGPT said, All right, let's continue into Part 5, where the Galactic Council begins fracturing and secret plots emerge in the shadow of humanity's defiance. Behind the closed walls of Nexus Prime, the delegates no longer spoke with one voice. The illusion of council unity had splintered. What had begun as an ultimatum now twisted into hushed alliances, secret promises, and fearful calculations. Admiral Kethvar gathered the militant species, the Biohive, the Zephyrians, and several warlike factions. His voice thundered in private chambers. If we strike quickly, we can cripple their fleets before they consolidate. Humans are strong, yes, but not invincible. One decisive blow, and they will fall like every defiant species before them. The Biohive Queen shrieked her agreement, her 1,000 voices echoing, "Exterminate before contagion spreads." But Chancellor Mordeth of the Crystalline Collective counseled restraint. His radiant body pulsed with frustration. "You underestimate them. Humanity has already broken the logic of prediction. What if they are hiding more than we know? A premature strike could unite them, and worse, expose us."